Okay, so let's start with some crazy 401k stats, some really interesting things that you may not know. Some of this might be surprising to you, some of it might not. Here's the first one I thought that was really interesting. For those of you that don't know, 401ks often allow loans, certainly more here in recent time. That's been something that people have had to utilize. Surprisingly, 17% of individuals right now have an outstanding 401k loan. 17% of folks have said, I'm going to tap into my retirement savings to subsidize or somehow use those dollars today. That's good thing, bad thing. Thumbs up, thumbs
definitely
down.
We're going to go into the details of why that's a horrible thing. And I'm just sad that it's getting close to 1 in 5 are you taking these loans. This is not a good use of your resources.
How about this next stat, Brian? 34% of 401k participants do not get their full employer match. So you might participate in a 401k plan where your employer says, hey, I'll put some money in there for you if you do X, Y, Z. And 34% of people are not doing all of X, Y, Z.
How do you miss number 2 of the financial order of operations? Get that free money. I mean, that one breaks my heart a little bit. That means, we're getting to 1 in 3 are blowing it with that stat.
How about this one? Now, this one is a positive one. Those two are sort of negative. 80% of 401k plans now in this country offer a Roth option. This has not always been the case. Roth 401ks have not always been a thing. So a number of plans are now offering that. However, less than 20% are actually taking advantage of it. So I'm curious, is that because for 20% of folks, or for 80% of folks, it doesn't make sense? Or do people not know about it? They not know why it's exciting. They not know why it could be a valuable tool to use in their tool belt.
It's because they haven't watched this show.
That's
so the
exactly
Money Guy Show is going to load them up. But first, let's go ahead and just talk about the basics. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Go ahead and talk to them about funding limits and some of these other provisions.
Yeah, so the one thing that's really interesting, this changed in 2023. There is now a new salary deferral limit. So if you're someone who's putting money into a 401k and you're electing to defer some of your salary into it, you can actually do up to $22,500. That can be across the pre-tax or the Roth side. We'll talk about those in a moment. And if you're someone who, I don't know, just happens to maybe be turning 50 this year, maybe you were born in the year 1973, someone like that, you can actually defer up to $30,000 into your 401k out of your salary in 2023.
Well, what I think is interesting, because look, they inflation these things. They adjust them over time. Last year it was $20,500, gone to $22,500. That's a pretty big jump. That $2,000. If this is a year that you fell asleep, that you haven't been updating in the past, this is definitely a year you need to be paying attention to, because that is quite a big step up from what it was in previous years.
Another thing that's happened is the Section 415 limits have increased. Now, the total annual addition limits between what you put in and also what your employer puts in is now $66,000. Now, I know a lot of folks are thinking, oh man, well, I can only do $22,500. There are a number of employers out there. Now, we have a lot of clients who work with them that their 401k contributions for their employees are so generous that they actually do run into these numbers. I want to say last year the number was $61,000. It has now increased to $66,000. If you're someone who's over 50, your total annual addition limit is all the way up to $73,500. So this is a great place and a big opportunity for folks to sock away dollars for retirement.
Well, and don't forget, even if your employer and the normal contributions don't load it all the way up, if you are fortunate enough that you have enough money coming in, there is an apex predator moment where you potentially could do the mega backdoor Roth contribution. So tune in. We'll go talk about that a little bit as well.